Hey everybody, Yankee here. It's time for day 3, or at least part 3, of our video series showing what you, the viewers, choose to carry, so let's get on with it. Alright, we're starting off with a really nice gun here from Richard Wilson from North Carolina, and he's carried his Ruger GP100. And not only has he kept this gun in tip-top condition, very sparkly clean, he's even added some bird's eye maple inserts to the grip there. Although I don't really like the rubber grips on these because I don't just like the feel of rubber. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, I like to raw dog it or anything. I really don't like the feeling of the rubber grips. So I don't use those. I go with all wood. But if you're going to use them, a nice set of inserts like this really makes a big difference in how it looks. Now this whole picture is almost too perfect. The gun's too clean, the grips are too nice, it's on a nice leather piece of furniture that is also very clean, it's not covered with dog slobber or anything. This makes me think Richard might have a lot of drifter skeletons in the crawl space of his house, but still he's got really nice tasting guns here. A Ruger GP100 7-shot 357 Magnum, looks like the 3-inch barrel. Next we got Send Lawyers Guns and Money from Utah. And he's carrying his Canik MC9. This is another one of those METE guns, and I don't know what that means still. If someone wants to let me know what it means, I would appreciate it. Now, I personally won't buy a Canik because of where they're from, because where they come from is a place that is very backwards. It's very racist. It's very homophobic. It's very discriminatory, misogynistic. They're deeply, deeply indoctrinated with a dark, backwards religion, and it just makes it a place that I would not want anything to do with. And no, I'm not actually talking about Utah. Sounds like a lot like Utah there. I think you could easily make that mistake, but I'm actually talking about Turkey. But Send Lawyers Guns and Money obviously doesn't think about that. He doesn't care. Well, he is from Utah after all. So he's carrying his Canik MC9. All right, next we have Ben from Virginia. And I'm not going to lie, when I first read this, I actually thought it said Ben the Virgin. And I was like, I don't know why he feels the need to tell me that. In fact, if he's one of my viewers and he's carrying a Glock here, I would have kind of assumed the virgin part. He didn't need to say it out loud. But he is carrying a Glock 19. Now, this is a heavily Gucci'd up Glock 19. Looks like it's got some fancy coatings on it here, a fancy light laser combo there, fancy magwell. It's got a holosun on it. It's got nice sights on it. It's got a stippled frame. But, you know, in the end, it's still a Glock. And it's a Glock 19. Great gun. And it's Ben from Virginia's everyday carry gun. All right, next we got Sundet from Washington. And based on this picture here and those animal prints, he is in a bordello somewhere in Washington. I'm kind of afraid this picture might be a disguised call for help, that maybe Sundet is being human trafficked somewhere, or maybe he's just a whore. I don't know, but I might have to go back and look at his email again. But he's carrying an RIA Ultra 10mm. This is a single stack 10mm from Rock Island Arms. And these things are supposedly excellent for the money. Now, I've never owned one, but most people say they're awesome and they are a great step into 10mm 1911s because they're affordable and they work. Now, this is one of the first 1911s we've seen on these lists so far, and it's nice to actually see one. And it's nice to see it in 10mm. You know, they should always be 10mm or 45 ACP. I actually prefer 10mm myself, but so many of them are in 9mm. And if I would have seen this gun and it was 9mm, well, then I would have assumed Sundet was doing prostitution from a completely different position than I do now that I see that it's a 10mm. I see here that maybe he's at least on top sometimes, since he's carrying a 10mm RIA Ultra. All right, next we have Jason Spruill from North Carolina, and he's carrying his, I think you say this, Tissos or Tissus? I always call it tit sauce, so I'm not the person to ask. But he's carrying another 1911 here, the D10. Now, I don't know what caliber this is or anything, because I don't know anything about the Tissos 1911s. but it's a nice looking gun. I can tell you that. If I was just going to judge it on looks, which is, let's face it, that's how I judge most things, including people. I'm not shallow enough to judge people on the color of their skin or anything like that. I judge them on whether they look good and how much money they have, like you should judge everybody. So if I put that same criteria to this gun, even though I don't know a lot about it, great looking gun, so it's probably a good gun. I guess Jason could tell us if it's a good gun or not if he wants to. Maybe come to one of our live chats, because I'd be interested to hear how this one actually does function. It is Jason Spruill in North Carolina and his Tissos or Titsauce 1911 D10. All right, next we got Paul B. from Ohio, and he's carrying a Smith & Wesson 1066. Now, these are awesome guns. I think I actually had one of these, to be honest. This here is a 10 millimeter gun, and it is way ahead of its time, I think. I think these Smith & Wesson guns, these were great carry guns for people when they weren't really looking for carry guns. It's also a great duty gun. It's an all solid stainless steel 10 millimeter gun. What's not to like? Although I do wonder here why he's got us on top of some tax forms. It's almost like he's trying to use this as an alibi for some sort of shady dealings on his taxes, or he's trying to be able to write this gun off now because he's used it officially, I guess. But that's Paul B. in Ohio with an unusual carry gun, a Smith & Wesson 1066. Next we have Jacoby Crows from Wisconsin, and isn't that cute? He's carrying a little Smith & Wesson 637. Little 38 special revolver, and it looks like he's got a pair of the lock grips on it. Nice looking little gun. I've always thought these are great little guns. If you're a small child or an elderly female, this could be the gun for you. So I'm not slamming the gun. I think it's a great gun. I just think it's an odd choice for someone who's supposedly a full-grown man. But who am I to judge? I often sit down when I pee, so I can't really say anything bad about anybody. So this is Jacoby Crows in Wisconsin and his Smith & Wesson 637. I have those same grips, by the way. All right, next we have Juicy Rodriguez from Minnesota, and he's showing us his Beretta Tomcat. I love the Beretta Tomcats. Now, this is the more tactical Beretta Tomcat, so he's obviously cooler than me because mine's just the regular one. It doesn't have a threaded barrel on it. My barrel's much shorter than his, which, surprise, surprise, that ain't gonna surprise anybody. I mean, his last name's Rodriguez. He's Hispanic. Of course, his barrel's gonna be a little longer than mine. But that doesn't make me feel intimidated at all. Not much. But getting back to the gun, I love these guns. I think they're awesome. Love that tip-up barrel. Now, they are only 32 ACP, but it's such a cool gun, you don't even care. This is a great gun when you got a really deep conceal and you just want something for up close if things go bad. It is the Beretta Tomcat, and this one is being carried by Juicy Rodriguez in Minnesota. All right, next we have X-Adam 1 in Texas, and he's carrying his Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Plus, which is, like I've said many times before, such a long name for such a small gun. Now, I'm assuming that this gun is extra fast because it's got speed holes on the slide. As you can see up there on the top, nothing makes your gun faster, your draw faster, your performance better than speed holes on your gun. So I commend him on that. I don't know why he's showing off his keys unless he's just trying to brag that he lives in a house or drives a car maybe. But that is a great carry gun. Like I said, can't go wrong with speed holes in your carry gun. And this is X-Adam 1 from Texas and his Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Plus. I almost get out of breath saying that name. All right, next we got Scott Golder from New York, and he's got a Smith & Wesson 640 Pro. This is actually the second 640 Pro we've seen. These are awesome guns. He's got some aftermarket grips on it there, but it looks like everything else is stock. Although I'm not sure it came with the night sight. And that looks like that might be a night sight on the front. But actually, now that I think about it, I think they did come with a night sight. And I should be editing all this out, but I don't feel like doing it right now. So I think it's all stock except for the grips. Now, it does strike me as surprising that he's in New York and he's carrying a .357 Magnum gun. I thought every man there had been feminized and demasculated to the point where they would carry either a 38 or maybe even a 9mm, but not .357 Magnum. I guess there's still a few people like Scott in New York that are desperately clinging to their manhood for all they're worth. And I don't mean that in a dirty way. Keep your minds out of the gutter. This is Scott Golder in New York and his Smith & Wesson 640 Pro. All right, next we have Bob Doblin from Mississippi. And when I first saw this name, the only thing I could think is when he was a kid, I bet he was called Knob Goblin all the time. And if he wasn't, well, then the bullies in his area just weren't very smart because that is such an obvious nickname for him. In fact, I hope people now start calling him Knob Goblin. If you know him at work or wherever, Knob Goblin, perfect nickname with Bob Doblin as your name. But besides that, he's in Missouri. Well, that probably explains why the bullies didn't do that, because I can't imagine the bullies in Missouri are very smart. But he's carrying a Glock 19, which I think is one of the best overall carry guns. Now, I don't carry striker-fired guns like Glocks myself because they scare me. I get kind of nervous with them. But some people can handle them just fine. And Knob Goblin is obviously one of them. So he's carrying his Glock 19 in Missouri. All right, next we got, I can't tell if that is Simone or Simon. You know, my name is Simon, and the things I draw come true. That's what I always think of when I hear Simon. In fact, there was someone else earlier in the video whose name was Simon, but didn't want to be called by name, and I was sad because then I couldn't sing that song. So I'm hoping this is Simon so I can sing that song. If it's Simone, well, then she's got some of the ugliest, manliest hands I've ever seen on a woman. And she's in Pennsylvania carrying a Ruger LC9S, or she is in Pennsylvania carrying a Ruger LC9S. This is one I haven't seen yet. I have actually given away a few of these through TYMP, and I think they're great little single stack guns. They're nice and small and easy to carry, but they're still competent and reliable. Now, they've got a red dot on this, and the red dot seems like it almost doubles the size of a gun. That tells you how small these guns are. So that should be an easy to carry gun for Simon or Simone, whoever that is there. And she should have no problem whatsoever concealing that. It is a Ruger LC9S, and they are in Pennsylvania. All right, next we have Tomcat from Georgia. Another one of them tea-sipping, peach-eating people from Georgia. Have you ever been in Atlanta? Everything is fucking named Peachtree. Everything. It's like you go up to Peachtree, and then you turn left on Peachtree, and then you go up till you hit the Peachtree Plaza, and then you go right till you hit the Peachtree building. It's just everything is Peachtree. And boy, do they love their sweet tea. They're always like, you want some sweet tea? And me, I don't like tea, so I say no thank you. And every time I say no thank you to sweet tea in Georgia, I think they're going to string me up. They really kind of start giving you that attitude. Like you don't belong here, tea-hating boy. So it's a little bit hard for me in Georgia because of that. But like I said, this is Tomcat from Georgia, and he's carrying a CZ75 P01. And since I went off on a little rant, I don't got a lot of time to say anything about it here. But nice gun, Tomcat. That's all I got time for. All right, next we have HP Kohler. And I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like a name to me. That sounds either like a brand of toilet or a brand of fax machine, or maybe a combination fax machine and toilet. I hope they make those, or else I've probably shit in a lot of fax machines in my life, which explains why I've gotten fired from so many jobs. But as I was about to say, they are from Illinois, and they're carrying their HK VP9SK. This is basically the subcompact, well, not basically, it is the subcompact version of the VP9. And like I said, since this is an H&K, it kind of takes away some of the stigma of it being a polymer gun. So it's actually a pretty good choice for carry. You know, I even like that lime green background. It's one of my favorite colors. But this is HP Kohler in Illinois and his HK VP9 SK. All right, next we have Brian Hale in Texas. And this guy is carrying a gun that I've always been very interested in. It's the Taurus 605 Protector. I think it's called the Poly Protector, actually. And this gun is unique, if nothing else. I actually like this brown one, but they also make one that is white with a green grip and a stainless steel cylinder and metal parts that looks like it should be carried by the Joker. And I've always wanted to get one of those, and somewhere on it, like maybe sand off the bull and have the Joker symbol engraved there. I think that would be awesome. So I'm not really sure about how good these are because I've never owned one myself, but I've heard from people that they're really nice. And I've seen on lots of lists in places that this was the #1 selling Taurus on Gunbroker one month. And it's one of the best selling guns Taurus makes, and it's on best of lists for Taurus. So it must be a pretty good gun. I guess Brian Hale could tell us if it was a good gun. even though he is from Texas, which means his opinion is not going to be worth a whole lot. But still, he's got experience with it. I wish he had more experience with nail clippers. Them are some nails on him right there, and it looks like I can see just the end of a jailhouse tattoo. But otherwise, which also does not surprise me in Texas, but like I said, interesting gun, a gun I've been interested in a while, and he is the only person I've ever seen carrying one. It's Brian Hale in Texas, and his Taurus 605 Poly Protector. And no, that doesn't mean it's for protecting parrots, just in case there's someone out there who's going to wonder. All right, next we have a beautiful carry gun from Randy King in Kansas. He's carrying the Colt Python Combat Elite. I have this gun, love this gun. I think he might have got this gun before me, which kind of pisses me off. Now, he's even got the Altamont grips on it, like the ones I bought, except he got the orange, which looked really nice. Now, he's got his finger on the trigger, so he's about to kill us all. And I can't believe he's so callous with our safety that he put his finger on the trigger of the gun that he's holding in his own house and that he actually sent to me. So obviously nothing bad had happened, or else he wouldn't have sent me the picture. But I'm still going to freak out because I'm a safety Nazi, because I'm on the internet. We deal with that every day. And also, his nails look like they're the opposite of the last picture. He looks like he's gnawed those babies to the nubs. But he still looks like he's got great taste in carry guns and great taste in grips. Now, that grandma fabric on the furniture there, I'm not going to comment on. But otherwise, I like everything about this. Well, except for those nails. Randy King from Kansas and his Colt Python Combat Elite. All right, next we have Coral from Texas. And he's carrying a SIG P3 2010mm. Now, if my name was Coral, I would definitely be carrying a Python in honor of my pappy. But he's carrying a SIG P320, as I said already. Now, this is a nice choice for carry. It's 10mm, easy to use, very simple gun. It's almost too simple. It kind of frightens me because there's no safeties. Like I said, I get a little nervous with striker-fired guns carrying them. So wouldn't be something I would choose. But I'm hoping Coral knows what he's doing, although I talk to Coral in live chats all the time, and knowing what he's doing isn't the impression he puts forward, if you know what I mean. Still, he's got great taste, in guns, not in live chats, because he actually comes to my live chat, and that doesn't speak well for you. But he has great taste in guns because the SIG P3 2010mm is an awesome gun. So that's Coral in Texas and what he's carrying. All right, there's today's batch of what viewers are actually choosing to carry. I'll be back either tomorrow or the next day with installment 4 of this video series.